Police believe one of the drivers killed in a head-on crash on a divided highway in Perth's south made a conscious decision to drive on the wrong side of the road. The crash on the Leach Highway near Perth's airport killed another 3 people, a 58-year-old taxi driver and the mother and her daughter who were his passengers. Reporter Courtney Withers joins us now from police headquarters in the city. Courtney, so how did this happen?
Well, Joe, I've just come from a police briefing here at police headquarters where we have been given some more information into just how this horror crash happened on a major Perth highway earlier this morning. They reiterated some of those earlier details we already knew, that about 3:30 local time this morning, a driver in a 4-wheel drive was driving on the wrong side of Leach Highway in Cloverdale near Perth's airport and collided head-on with a taxi. Now, because they were driving the wrong way, the taxi obviously hit them head-on. Police say the taxi driver was travelling in the correct lane and was in a southwest direction away from the Tonkin Highway and Airport Drive interchange. Police confirmed earlier today the driver of the 4-wheel drive, who's yet to be formally identified, died at the scene, as did the 58-year-old taxi driver, also died at the scene. There were 2 women inside the taxi, a 56-year-old woman and an 81-year-old woman who were in the back. They also died at the scene. Pictures shared on social media earlier today at the time showed one of the vehicles, the RAV4, the 4-wheel drive, was completely alight and in blaze at the scene, and there were drivers driving around. There was a lot of smoke as the car was still on fire. Major crash investigators were at the scene earlier today clearing some of that debris, and tow trucks were seen taking those 2 vehicles away. The highway has now, of course, reopened. But interestingly, we just heard from the officers here at police headquarters who provided some interesting updates about this horror crash. Police say miraculously the dashcam footage of the 4-wheel drive was able to be extracted by police at the scene. Now, this was the car that was alight, so they were able to extract that carefully and they have been able to view it. They say the driver was travelling on the wrong side of the road for quite some time, travelling along Orong Road heading east. They crossed over Leach Highway's overpass, turned left and drove up the off-ramp and onto Leach Highway, and then continued travelling in a northerly direction, which is, of course, where they then met the taxi driver who was travelling on the correct side of the road. Now, the detectives say they're not sure why this happened and they're still going to be investigating that. They say the driver was, though, travelling in excess of the speed limit, the 80-kilometre speed limit for Leach Highway. They say it was recorded just before the moment of impact. Tragically, they did detail that the 2 women who were inside the taxi at the time in the back seat were mother and daughter. However, they didn't confirm whether they were travelling from Perth's airport. They did also say that the 4 people who died were all West Australians. Here's Detective Senior Sergeant Hugh Letessier detailing some of that key evidence that they've been able to locate.
At this stage, we believe the driver of the RAV4 has made a conscious decision to drive on the incorrect side of Leach Highway, and investigations remain ongoing. Some of the files on that SD card indicate he was driving through the streets of Belmont and Cloverdale prior to the incident, and he was driving well in excess of the posted speed limit.
Detective Senior Sergeant Hugh Letessier there speaking about that key evidence that will form part of this investigation into why this horror crash on a major Perth highway occurred. Joe, obviously it's not the start to the year that we were looking for. 2024 was a horror year on WA's roads, the highest road toll recorded since 2016. We'll provide more updates as they come.